as a process is being overlooked. And through this, we hope to generate and garner more awareness about supply chain and procurement in specific. So, for our speakers, as well as for our esteemed audience, for you guys, I am going to be talking about some pressing global matters along with our esteemed and valued speakers. These matters have been plaguing the average working fellow, such as you, such as me, and that matter is the matter of inflation, global inflation, international inflation. Now, as if the pandemic had not brought about enough global economic challenges, inflation has also thrown its hat into the ring. Today, we will be discussing the practice of procurement and how we can best attempt to mitigate inflation through better procurement practices. Can it actually lead the battle? Today, we are joined by industry thought leaders and opinion makers. As you can see, our speakers are people from very valued, very expert backgrounds. They all it's an excellent international panel, and we're super excited to have them on board. And what we're going to do right now is, after having a brief introduction from all of them, we will kick off the webinar and begin talking about the challenges that I have been mentioning earlier. During this, I would want our esteemed audience to share their valued feedback, questions, suggestions that you would like to throw at one of our speakers. Bear in mind, these our speakers are coming from highly professional and expert backgrounds in supply chain and procurement, and they are going to possibly give you a better insight into how procurement and supply chain can mitigate the difficult predicament of inflation in the global world crisis right now. So I would request Vera, if you could kick off with a brief introduction of yourself, and then I would take out by name all of the speakers. Unfortunately, at this point, Mr. Shahid Karim was unable to join us due to a personal emergency. He, however, sends his best wishes and will be joining us if possible. So Vera, please take it from here.
Yes, hello everybody. As I said, I have more than 20 years experience in procurement with such companies as Procter & Gamble, British American Tobacco, Mars, and Russian companies. And I have more than 9 years of experience in the role of Chief Procurement Officer in Russia and other countries. I have MSIPs, MBA, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you. That was very succinct and to the point, and we've all gotten a very excellent snapshot into your experience. If we could go on to Mudassar Ali Khan.
Thank you for asking. My name is Mudassar Ali Khan, and I'm a certified trainer and professional in a field of procurement and supply chain, and having a diversified experience of over 17 years in FMCG, textile, and oil and gas sector. Graduated as MBA in supply chain. I have done certifications like CSCP and CSCA from USA, and also a holder of postgraduate diploma in supply chain. Currently, I am pursuing my PhD in supply chain management from Karachi, Pakistan, where my area of interest are supply chain risk, agility, robustness in the era of supply chain 4.0. Also, I'm passionate about doing research in the area of data analytics, supply chain modeling, and simulations. Apart from that, I'm associated with Cost Map Advisory as a procurement consultant, and also depart many services as an independent evaluator and facilitator in the field of procurement and supply chain. And I have trained hundreds of students and professionals in this area. Thank you very much. Over to you, Myla.
Thank you, Mudassar. Very soon, we will be calling you Dr. Mudassar Ali Khan then, inshallah. Okay, if I could request Miss Marina to share a brief introduction about herself as well, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, hi everybody. Sorry for my voice. I still have virus, unfortunately. Thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. I am from Ukraine, Kyiv, and I have 16 years experience in procurement and supply chain. Now I am owner and managing partner of IPSM. This is consulting company. We provided different consulting services in Ukraine, in other countries. Also, I'm head of SIPS programs in Ukraine. I'm trainer, consultant, tutor, mentor, etc. And of course, for me, it's honor and pleasure to present here and to share my experience in procurement and in managing categories, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marina. We're really excited to learn from you through this session today. And now I would request Mr. Abdus Salam, if you could just share a brief introduction about yourself, that would be great. Is Abdus Salam on call?
Yes, kindly unmute yourself.
Well, my name is Muhammad Abduslam, and I've been associated with the field of supply chain for more than 10 years. I've done my MS in supply chain management, and I'm an engineer by profession. So my core expertise in public procurement, and I've been working as an adjunct faculty member for supply chain, then as consultant, as an advisor, and on various boards related to supply chain management. And thank you, Cosmonaut, for calling me here. Thank you once again for calling me this great forum.
So can we please go on to Miss Diana, if you could just grace us with
hello everyone. I'm really honored to can join you and share my experience. I'm a buyer, over 13 years of experience in strategic procurement. So Samsung Electronics Company, Mars also, and Ario Huntley, where I was a project manager for procurement projects. I am after pedagogy and project management, a lot of different postgraduate studies, because I love to learn, and this is why now I'm a trainer using my own experience in procurement, my strategic thinking, and I'm a mentor and coach. I represent a representative from Poland today, so it's really nice for me to have all of you and to join with my person.
Thank you, Diana. That was excellent. We are super excited to have you over here. The panel so far, as for our speakers, for our participants, they can see it is such a diverse and such an exciting panel to be a part of. There's so much to learn today. And now can we move on to Mr. Salisu? Hi.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant. My name is Salis Uba. I am joining in from Copenhagen in Denmark, but I'm based in Glasgow, United Kingdom, and I'm originally from Nigeria. I am a supply chain management professional and, of course, leader, fellow of SIPS, and had quite significant industry experience and academia. My area of interest focuses around technology adoption and how blockchain specifically can transform supply chain management. And I'm really pleased to be here and to share some thought with the participant. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Salisu. We are super excited to learn from you. And if we can just move on to Mr. Ali. If you could just grace us with an introduction about yourself, that would be great.
Good evening, everybody. This is Ali Saadeddin. I'm a procurement and supply chain professional. I'm originally in profession as a mechanical engineer. I have a master in business administration. My total experience is 25 years in construction and facility management. Actually, out of them is almost 20 years of experience in procurement and supply chain. I'm located in the United Arab Emirates. I'm here since 2003. Worked with big organizations in construction and facility management. And now I have my own training and consultation center. I'm a trainer and a consultant. Yeah, and I'm glad to be here with you to share my experience. Thank you.
Great, great. That's excellent. Thank you to all my speakers for sharing such valued and interesting facts about yourself. Iman, if you could just double check for me and confirm, I believe that we have covered all the speakers at this point. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So is there a question from you, the audience, the participants at this point? Please feel free to share any questions that you may have, because our expert panel at this point would want to share their knowledge, industrial knowledge, their professional knowledge, and this is the best possible opportunity for you to interact with them. And right now, I will kick off with a question. The agenda of the webinar is going to be such: we will have 4 questions, and the questions are going to be addressed to the speakers, and I would be sharing it with some of the speakers, and we would request the speakers to share their answers, their thoughts, their feedback, their suggestions, what they feel is the best solution, and if they agree with it and if they disagree with it. We are open to an excellent, healthy debate at this point, and this is going to be an invigorating discussion, and we would want to take away a lot from it. So the first question for our speakers and for our audience to listen into is: how does aggregation help battle inflation? I would like to share this question with Ms. Vera and Mr. Mudassir Ali Khan at this point. Ms. Vera, do you feel that aggregation can possibly battle inflation? Do you think that it is the right route to go to? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I would love to hear from you.
Yes, I think aggregation is a very, very good instrument to battle the inflation. Why? Because we can see our demand well ahead, we can plan, we can budget, and we can actually select the suppliers that are required for us in terms of size, in terms of whether it is producer or it is the distributor. And then we can also aggregate our demand for the longer period of time and make the long-term contracts with suppliers. Unfortunately, during inflation, it is not possible to fix price for the long term, but with the best suppliers, with the suppliers whom we trust, we can use the open costing model. We can tie our price to some indexes or to some catalogs that they use for the retail price with the discount, all these instruments. So for me, the aggregation means transparency for the future, for the bigger period of time, and it is always good to know. Also, due to aggregation, we can unify our own demand in case, for example, we have several production sites of several similar sites that currently can order similar but not the same. But this is the good opportunity to unify.
Right, excellent. Okay. Mudassir.
Yes.
Would you like to? Yes.
No, I should say that Vera has told you the right thing, and to help lowering down the risk and to protect our company against the inflation, one should be looking into its spend analysis, and it should see that what kind of how we can aggregate these things. Plus, the one point Vera has already told that we should look into the open book arrangement with our supplier that we can do through the cost plus agreement. It is basically an agreement that you ask your contractor or your supplier to provide you all the details regarding its expense on a particular service or a product, and then you do some additional payment to allow for a profit. And furthermore, I will also add that in order to battle with the inflation, one should also look into a term of vertical integration or insourcing, where you arrange business in such a way that you start some kind of project that are currently outsourced to third party, and now you, instead of carrying out it to a third party, you should start in-house. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Okay, so the same as an extension for this question, I believe that the participants might have this question looming in their mind, is that with the suppliers, how do you ensure that aggregation is a win-win situation? Because naturally at this point we talked about unifying expenses, we talked about transparency, we talked about how this could possibly benefit us, the buyer. But for the supplier, what is in it for them? Do you think that more often than not they would want this arrangement? Would they be attracted for this arrangement, and that too fixing prices for 6 months or a year, considering how volatile the current global situation is? Inflation is, prices are rising, they also have costs to look into. So how do you manage and tackle such issues, and how do you get the supplier on board? Mudassir and Vera, these questions, this is an extension for the both of you, if you would like to talk about this. And Salisu, if you
Vera, you go first, please.
Okay.
So for me, yes, aggregation doesn't mean the fixed prices, first of all, for the whole period of time. And I think that for our suppliers, it is also beneficiary because they can plan themselves for the longer period as well. They can see our demand, they can properly distribute their budgets, their funds. So it's always very good to have plans, to have the longer term plans. Even in the volatile market, you can just adjust it more frequently to the current situation. But even bad plan is better than no plan in any case. That's why we should stream, we should aim to transparency, to planning, to accurate planning, and to aggregation as well.
Yes, I again agree with the Vera, because you first need in an era of inflation, you need to understand your supply chain, and then you again forecast and share this forecast to your supplier. And also you can adjust the different terms of your agreement through changing in kind of payment terms, or you can involve your supplier early within your supply chain in order to get benefited from as a win-win situation. Furthermore, you can also increase value by redesigning something. So you should your value engineering and design to value a particular thing. In that particular case, that your vendor will definitely take interest in your operations, in your activities, and that you can also change to some material cost. And you should actually you involve him for a long run, as Vera said, and you should look for a strategic partner. So the mutual benefit, if the mutual benefit is there, then definitely there will be a win-win situation for both the parties.
Absolutely. I believe with us that really resonates with all of us. We've all experienced that whenever we get a vendor on board for strategic purposes, for long-term purposes, they feel more inclined towards working not just for their benefit, but to our benefit as well, because this means that this is working towards a long-term partnership. So they feel valued, they feel like they are an integral part of the company as well. Excellent. Okay, so I believe that we have had a very insightful discussion about the first question. This is an excellent way to kick it off. Just a simple reminder for our participants, I would request you of kindly to please switch off your mic as well as your camera, so that we can focus solely on the excellent things that all our speakers have to say. So moving on to the second question, I would request Marina and Salisu to share their thoughts on this. The second question states, How does market monitoring help inflation? I mean, looking into that, taking in from your experience, Marina, from the Ukraine, how do you feel that monitoring the market has helped you predict inflation, help you battle inflation, and help your procurement practices become better, smarter, more efficient?
If you look at my market or any market, it doesn't matter. When you're monitoring the market and when you understand what is the perspective and what is the forecast in the market, so you armed, so-called, yes, you have instrument to plan, and you have instrument to negotiate with your finance first of all and with your suppliers. And of course, as more unstable market, as higher inflation, you need to spend more time with the analysis, more time with different reports, etc. So this is very, very important. And in some projects, my clients have very good value when they have data from previous period. They know how this market goes, yes, down and up, and they plan their negotiations on that period when the price was pretty low, and so they have in advance 1 year contract with very good price. Yes, and it was very, very good strategy. We analyzed this during our category strategy development. It was good situation, but situation can change, and market can goes up without down position. Yes, and you need to understand how it works. And what we see during last year, and especially last year, so-called during COVID year, when we faced with the inflation in each market. Yes, and monitoring the market and monitoring the influences on this market is very important. You understand why it happens. Not just face with this and tell your suppliers, do anything, it doesn't matter what you do, but you need to decrease prices because we fixed in the budget low prices and we don't want to do anything. So it is not win-win strategy, it is lose-win strategy. And it was very important to implement such instruments, for example, like 5-quarter forces, when you understand whole spectrum and whole forces which influence on the market, and you have this information. Yes, you have this data. You can negotiate like inside the company with stakeholders and outside the company with your suppliers. And of course, you can aggregate these volumes not only with your suppliers, but for example, with your competitors or with other companies, so to decrease somehow these prices. Yes, inflation, of course, influence on the market and on the prices, but with aggregation, with some searching different strategies, you can find a lot of benefits.
Thank you so much, Marina. Salisu, if you could possibly shed some light on all that Marina has just discussed right now. And what's really interesting is how Marina mentioned earlier is that this is not just something that works in isolation market analysis. This is a repetitive, this is a trend that more often than not reoccurs, that is unavoidable, and that as history dictates, it repeats itself. So do you feel, Salisu, that this is more like a cross-functional collaboration, that the procurement or the supply chain department cannot work in isolation in terms of market analysis and having a better idea in terms of prediction for the future? If you could just share your thoughts on that, Salisu.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent thought. And I believe, like Marina has mentioned, we have to not just be proactive, but we have to be deliberate in terms of monitoring the market, because some of these things happens, because of some vulnerabilities in our supply chains. Like you rightly mentioned, supply chain collaboration is an essential tool in terms of monitoring the supplier market, not just monitoring a specific supplier or particular market, but having a global view about your supply chain, whether at international or local level. But importantly, I think there is need to leverage on data. You don't have to go into a complex systems or using complex technologies. A simple tool that can help you, share information. I think we call it information sharing within supply chain will really mitigate, risk in supply chain, and will give you the power to be able to see and where the cost is, where you have challenges in logistics, because you have to understand the cost associated with your supply chain. And that's where you can easily have, or rather, manage inflations. I will really encourage collaboration as a key factor. But like Marina has mentioned, some of the models that you can actually use in order to understand your market, like five porters theory or model. But of course, you can also use things like the Krajic model to understand the supplier's position, how powerful the supplier is. And importantly, FESTIL is also, or if you like, the first analysis is also a key factor that you can use in order to understand, especially within the region you guys are. You have some political instabilities and things that potentially can affect, your supply chains, environmental factors, and so many things. So I think I share the same view that monitoring the market is an essential factor that will fight inflation, and it has to be deliberate and it has to be collaborative, and not just the buying organization, but the whole supply chain has to work towards that, because today supply chains is compete, but not companies. If you have the best supply chains, you can be able to drive the maximum value that you can drive, both as a buyer and as a supplier. Thank you.
Right, excellent. Okay, thank you so much for that, Salih. So that was very detailed and comprehensive. Ali, would you like to share some of your valued feedback? I understand that you have been sharing, you have been providing your consultancy in this field for a very long time. And I believe that a lot of your clients may come to you for a better, more efficient market analysis as well when it comes to their procurement and their supply chain practices. How do you feel that market analysis contributes towards a more effective supply chain and procurement strategy?
Thank you very much. Actually, it's market analysis is very important. When we talk about inflation, it will be important to analyze the markets related to the currency, because the inflation, it's something come out from the currency, and you should understand the relation of currencies and how it's linked together. So, for example, I don't know about Pakistan rupees, but for example, in United Arab Emirates or Jordan or in the Gulf countries in general, they are more linked to the dollar. So whatever inflation will happen to the dollar, it will be reflected on the dirham. And then if you buy a dollar from a dollar market, you will not be affected that much, because it's almost these currencies that link to the dollar, for example, is up and down in the same rhythm. So this will not affect that much. But if you will deal with, let's say, from a market that is dealing in euro, or their currency are linked to the currency basket that it may go up and down in a different way than the US dollar or the euro, then so you need to understand such kind of facts actually to decide about which markets you have to look at and where you have to concentrate and get your purchases, because sometimes you are getting your supplies from X market, but you have the let's say you are agile, or you have the agility to change and get
Right. Adaptability of that.
Yeah, get your material from different markets. So if you as a procurement professional has such kind of knowledge about this linkage of currencies and how from where your inflation came and is it related to that currency you are linked with, then you can take more right decisions on from which market you need to buy and how you have to go. And also aggregation, it could be something, but also sometimes or on all the times, the relations of your vendors, it's a key. So when you have very good relations with your vendors, which come like business partnership or terms of collaboration, with your vendors, you can manage things better because you can feel the market better and sense it better, because the whatever will happen in the market, mainly your vendors will feel it faster than you. So if you have a good relations with your vendors, you can get such news earlier, and this can affect your strategic decisions on how to tackle it. Shall I, sometimes if you have the leverage, sometimes you will decide to stop buying, not aggregating and buy more, So it depends on the industry, it depends on the items you are dealing
the
with.
nature of the product.
And so from my point of view, let's say such knowledge, which may be not something that procurement professional used to, it's help them more to manage such kind of instability when it's come to the currency, because it's something, let's say, out of our hands. And whatever you was expert as a procurement professional, if you don't know how to deal with it, you will just accept it as it is. And you will just say, what can I do? Prices are going up because so and so inflation. You can find a lot of reasons. So this is very important. Just not just the normal knowledge about what's procurement, how to buy, what to buy, category management, these things. We should, I believe, excel to little bit more about other things that can help us really take decisions.
No, that I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I believe all of our esteemed speakers will agree with you that superficial knowledge about procurement and category management and supply chain, as you said, will only get you to a certain point. I'm so sorry, Marina. Okay, yes, will only get you to a certain point. But from there on, you need an in-depth understanding of the market that you are working in, the market that your vendor is functioning in and day out. And as you mentioned earlier, having an excellent relationship with your vendor could give you a tip off, or it could give you a heads up into how the market is going to be constantly changing. We see this all the time. The price of iron, the price of copper is constantly fluctuating. However, if you have a good relationship with them, they will let you know at 5 p.m. it is going to go up 10 rupees higher or 1,000 rupees higher. And which is why it is the best possible time for you to purchase right now. Why? Because we have an excellent relationship with them. So great. We got such a valuable insight about the second question from three such valued speakers. Moving on to the third question, and I would like Ms. Diana and Abdul Salam to share their thoughts on it. So category management, it's great. We're having a segue into this because Ali just mentioned this. But what role do you believe that category management can help you in battling inflation? And I would appreciate it for our audience and for our participants if you could also share your definition and your understanding of what you think is category management. Diana.
Okay, thank you. So maybe I will start. I would like to build a little on what previous speakers mentioned. Absolutely. Because we talked about aggregation. So for me, it is not only connected with spend aggregation. For me, it is also some kind of our mindset that we need to think how to work smarter, not harder. Yes, so the point is, in this situation that when it comes to category management, it is somehow a specific area of common, let's say, suppliers, common characteristics, which can make us able to, let's say, work more efficiently. So we have one kind of category of products which are similar from different stuff. Yes, they are similar from different characteristics. And after that, it is easier to take a bigger picture and to think what is really important in our situation. So when it comes to category management, for me, it is really important to understand the characteristics of category. Yes, so what is the market, and previous speakers mentioned about that. So market monitoring is a key. Also, I think that it is one of the key trends for procurement for upcoming months, because it is not easy to talk about years. But the point is that we as a procurement cannot be as a silos. Yes, we need to open for each other. We need to collaborate with our stakeholders. So if we need to collaborate with our stakeholders, we need also to identify them. Who is the procurement stakeholders? Internal client, external client, supplier, to make this able to work smarter, not harder. I also need to understand what are the strategic products for my company. So use the Pareto, for example, 20% of the products which stands of 80% of the spend. Yes, use the analyze ABC analysis. Yes, just to take a look which is the most important, which products influence, which suppliers influence your business the most. Because you mentioned a lot of really great stuff, really great tools, but I always try to, go one step back and start with fundamentals. Yes, so with foundations. So if you would like to go step back, we need to think that in general, procurement teams are overloaded. A lot of workload, we are very reactive. Why? Because there are broken supply chains, there are a lot of different things that we are not able to focus on the things we should be doing, yes, on daily basis. I think that this is the common situation for all of us. It doesn't matter of the country, yes, of the region. But the point is that when it comes to category management, it is good to try to standard as much as possible to be able be not so reactive, but to take a strategic point of view and be more proactive. So for me, category management, it is not only negotiating, the best prices, because nowadays it is really tough. Yes, we are not to bring the savings. We are here to bring the value, to add the value. How to add the value? If you, for example, take a look at those 20%, for example, 80% of products, which stands for 20% of your business. Try to automate it. Try to make it more, without influence of procurement staff, without influence on daily workload for procurement team. Try to use bots, technology, yes, to work smarter, to bring the value to the company. So this is really important to take a look at the really points where procurement professional or buyer can bring the value. So add something more than systems and technology can do. As an example, we have RFQs, yes, offers. If you prepare some standard template for the offers, it is really few seconds for computer algorithm to go through, to compare, and to give you a result, yes? But we are sticking as a human in that, just trying to make our best and thinking, oh my God, we have also a strategic, we should think proactively, we should think about partnership with suppliers, but we don't have time to focus on building the relationships. So this is the point, that try to make as much as possible optimization, standardization of the procurement, demand management, yes? So aggregation of your work when possible, where there is no value that buyer will take care of that, yes? So try to delegate that to some tools, some technology, some solutions to make us able, you in the company, to bring the value to the part where computer cannot do and bring the value. So for me, this is the category management. Making us able to be more proactive, to have this, to think about everything in procurement one step before, and to make us able also to manage the risk.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Being proactive, as Ali also mentioned, as every other speaker has also mentioned, having standoffish knowledge will only get you so far. Being proactive and diving in nose deep will only create value. Like you said, the computer can only automate it for you. It can generate receipts for you. It can generate those RFQs for you on a daily basis. But who is going to create those valued relationships with your vendors? Who is going to create those strategic relationships that is going to get you a benefit in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Where do you see that going? So thinking short term possibly is not the right way to go. As you said, it is, and we should not be working in silos. We should be working, like, with a more collaborative effort. We should be involving more cross-functional departments into this, so we have a more holistic 360-degree view on what we're actually doing, and create a more thorough strategy as well. And Abdul Salam, if you could also please shed some light on that, that would be brilliant.
Thank you, Myla. I would like to say that there is a problem on top of it, like we are having issues of profit margins squeezing, and the competition in the each industry is increasing day by day. So the problem has become further aggravated by the advent of inflation, the current inflation, and pandemic is the COVID-19 is yet another issue faced by the industry at present. So I believe that the procurement professionals have a number of tasks to do, and especially they have to put in all their skill set in order to cater this inflation. Category management is just one of it. There are other tools in the baggage of the procurement professional, so he needs to use them as well. Like, as already Diana said, that you need the ABC analysis. But what if a C or B classified item having a minimal value, but it's of critical importance to you? So I would like to add that I do not disagree with Diana, but I would like to add some other analysis to it. Like, you need to have the analysis of VD, named vital, essential, and desirable, on the demand side. When we are talking about the demand side, so you should have a very good analysis of what items are vital to you, what are essential, and which items are desirable. On the other hand, you should have another, on the supply side, you should have SDE analysis, and it needs to be constantly updated on day-to-day basis, or on quarterly basis, or yearly basis. SD basically scarce, difficult, or easy. So the items that are easily available can be dealt by an ordinary buyer, but when it's from the scarce or some difficult source, you need to have a strategic view towards that. And for that, I would like to say that we should have a strategic relationship, and you should have more than one relationship in for such kind of items which are critical to your organization. You should have at least three suppliers, and there should be harmony with you. Collaborative planning and replenishment model should be applied. In such cases, aggregation can be done, but the key issue is you should have a pricing mechanism, and your suppliers should also have confidence, as there can be a dip in demands as well due to the pandemic or certain closures of certain industries. So you need to have him on board as well. He will definitely collaborate with you when he will have a definite demand in front of him that I have a buyer or customer which is generating a certain demand for me and a constant demand for me. So all you have to
Right.
do is collaboration. And I would like to add another thing to it, that bullwhip effect also affects when there is the time is uncertain. We are in the time of uncertainty. So on the buying side, the demand generated by the consumers is normally not there, and sometimes they create an artificial demand. Similarly, on the supplier side, in order to manage with the targets, the sales teams also generate artificial sales. So bullwhip effect is also playing a critical role in while demand aggregation or dealing with the factor of inflation. So for the critical items, go for the collaborative style of working as already established by the other speakers. And another thing we can do is we can use traffic light signals like red for our very critical items, yellow for the difficult ones but yet manageable, and green for the routine items. I think it's covered all, and if there is any question, I'll be available after that.
Thank you so much, Abdul Salam. And Salisu, I understand that you would definitely want to share some of your insights into category management. Naturally, that is something that our audience is really looking forward to. How do you feel that everything that Diana has shared and Abdul Salam has shared, how do you feel about that?
I think that's absolutely right. We have to leverage on most of these things they have mentioned. But in addition, I think there is a system called the framework system, which you
Right.
initially leverage on what we call the economic of scale. Is really important, especially when you have a critical items, or rather your strategic components that you believe you have the most competitive advantage in terms of the buying power. But I think category management is a very important tool for procurement in every sector, because that's where you'll be able to drive the most important value, and you'll be able to know and leverage on the critical spends within your procurement. So I absolutely share that, and I think it's a really important tool to go with.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Vera, if you would like to shed some light on this as well, that would be excellent. I believe we just spoke right in the beginning and we haven't been able to talk again.
Yes, I think that category management is the major tool that gives us possibility to optimize spend, to optimize demand, to look at what can we reduce in our usage, in our spend, simplify, unify, I don't know, assess make versus buy, or do it yourself versus outsource, all these things. But as all my colleagues have already mentioned, category management should be also underpinned by such skills as change management, stakeholder management, because it is quite difficult to implement change in the organization, especially in the big organization. And we should also always remember that we are like on the border of our company. We are the face of our company in the face of our suppliers. So it is not only about change management and stakeholders management within our company, but with the external stakeholders, with our suppliers as well. And also what I'd like to mention that I think that during the pandemic, Yes, we more and more pay attention on market monitoring. And what I saw that a lot of people from a lot of procurement professionals from different industries, and even without one industry, they start to collaborate, start to share the information, start to share the best practices, so that everybody can benefit from that. And this is, I think, a very, very good trend.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure that SIPs and other platforms as such provide that mechanism, provide that platform, that international platform for procurement professionals alike, and this platform itself as well, the one that we're speaking on, provide an, like an industrial insight and trade secrets as well, and, better practices, like you said, and we can all benefit from that. So moving on towards our last question, which is an open-ended question. It is an open stage question. So far, we have understood so much about aggregation. We have understood so much about market analysis and how integral it is in order for you to benefit the maximum possible for your company, for yourself, and category management and other forces such as category management itself that can help you overcome challenges. If I could just give a brief summary about what we've learned so far, cross-functional collaboration, cross-departmental collaboration is integral if you would want to take the company along with you and benefit from a more wholesome 360-degree valued strategy, not to work in silos. Having standoffish knowledge and superficial knowledge about procurement and category management and things such as that can only get you so far. It is more important to be more proactive, understand the market, understand your vendors, understand their challenges, and maybe how you can better help overcome them. Having a better relationship internally with your stakeholders, with your internal clients, as well as your external clients, that is key to a better successful, more beneficial result for the company as well. And yeah, if I've missed anything, I would love it if someone could highlight that. And lastly, this is a question for all our esteemed speakers at this point. What other sort of measures would you suggest for procurement to better adopt that we can possibly adopt, regardless of our geopolitical situation at this point, regardless of where we are, regardless of what we do, regardless of what our procurement background is? What do you feel is the best procurement strategy that we can possibly adopt at this point to battle inflation? Salisu, if we still have you on board, I would just love it if you could just share a few words before you head off.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the most important thing for me is to leverage on, competency development, build the necessary skills that you require, because procurement is such a field where you have a lot of quacks, people that claim to be professionals, but really they are not. So I really encourage that, knowledge and competency building is very key, it's integral. Let's get the right people to do the right job so that we can be able to benefit from this very important area. Thank you.
Can I add something? Building on
Absolutely,
what Salisu mentioned, and I'm a little happy. Maybe better is to say satisfied that it is not only connected with a Polish market when it comes to competency and the fact that our procurement professionals are not competent as they think they are. Unfortunately, because still I think that the point is knowledge management. So budgets for the trainings for the sales are much higher than for the procurement, but we still need to sit behind each other, yes, just to achieve our goals. So knowledge management, I think that this is the point for my side, and I will share you my point of view and my question, which I asked to the participants during the Procon Polsak, our Polish conference, procurement conference in Poland, that we all the time complain that we don't have budget for the trainings, that we don't have possibilities to develop ourselves, our procurement competences. So the question is if we on daily basis have some retrospective sessions, some lesson learned sessions, because now, as you can see today, pandemic situation is a great free training for all of the world. Great training, and during this conference, there were in the room around 200 people. Only four people raised their hand that yes, they made from the beginning of the pandemic situation at last one retrospective, so lesson learned session, to make sure that they are not doing, bad practices, not doing mistakes all the time, but they sit down to take a look that, okay, we have current situation, what we can do, and what we already done, what works, and what not. You understand my point? So the point is also just to make sure that we are using our experience, our mistakes, our current situation as a lesson to go further with the experience and with the really competency development, yes, to learn on the daily job, on the situation. So I think that this pandemic, COVID-19, is a great free training for all of us. And the point is, if we are using that to gain the knowledge, to develop ourselves and our skills. Thank you.
Myla, we don't hear you.
So sorry. I was saying thank you so much, Diana. That was such a comprehensive answer. And I believe I speak for everyone when we say that, yes, there are budget constraints at times, company-wide as well, but that should not be held up as an excuse, because there is no better learning than on-the-job learning. And like you said, there have been unprecedented examples within the pandemic itself, such as supply chain shortages, such as logistical issues. The biggest logistical issues that we have had to face at any point in time, extremely rising costs, be it by sea, be it by air, be it by land, we have had to suffer in all of these facets. And which is why reflecting and having those retrospective sessions, even if it's within the company, that would be so beneficial for newcomers, for people who have been associated with the company for 5, 10, 15 years, because the learning really never stops. And Marina, if I could also, if you could just share some valued feedback as to what you believe is the best possible strategy at this point for all procurement professionals alike and for companies to adopt at this point, considering the current global situation.
Yes, I want to support my colleague Diana and said that I faced with huge uneducated gap in procurement profession, unfortunately, and we need to tell the truth that we think that we know everything. I mean, procurement guys, yes, that we know everything and we don't need to be trained and to be educated, unfortunately. And first of all, I would recommend what to do in this situation, just to give some basic economic knowledge, because inflation, it is about economic, about supply and demand, about factors which influence on the inflation, etc., etc. So start with this, and I'm sure that in the company there are some economists which can do some simple trainings. I don't know, CFO, other guys, etc. So create internal procurement university, for example. Yes, and of course to use different procurement instruments, knowledge which we already mentioned, but you just need not to hear from us, for example, yes, or read in some articles, you need to know how to implement it and to be trained to do it. Also, I want to add that what else can help in struggling with inflation, it is SRM, so supplier relationship management. We already mentioned a lot different approaches, but it should be top priority in your company. It should be complex of different activities for different suppliers based on credit metrics, based on another instruments or purchasing chessboard. It doesn't matter. So you need to understand how to manage and how to build relationships with your suppliers, because your suppliers, it is the mirror of the market. Yes, and they can bring you a lot value and bring a lot of optimization when you know and when you understand how to deal with them, how to manage this relationship with them. And the suppliers give you a lot information, value, help, etc., etc. So this instrument with different activities, different approaches to different suppliers, you should put as a strategy and go forward with this strategy. So I think that this instrument is very, very important and can help very powerful in your procurement strategy and struggling with inflation.
Absolutely, definitely. And like you said, you have to learn to accept gaps in your knowledge. It is impossible for one person to know pretty much everything. And there is always room for learning, there is always room for improvement. And Ali, if I could just request you to share some valued feedback as to what you feel is the best procurement strategy at this point, given the global circumstances.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, it all starts with changing the mindset, because the experience the whole world come into, as our colleagues said, related to the pandemic and the COVID. It's really changed the way the world is thinking about everything. About education, about doing business, even about politics. Everything has been changed because of this pandemic that we examine. And I believe as procurement professionals, we should learn that agility is something very important. It's something, you can say it's a must. We should be agile. We should think that there is some circumstances we need to step back and try to make things done. Still, governance is important in our function, but you should also be, responsible and able to, take decisions that make you, as I said, agile, with the same time doing things in due diligence. So this is actually, it's very important. You are muted, I believe.
Sorry, I meant to say was making decisions in real time, essentially.
Correct.
Like how you mentioned.
Correct, because all the time as procurement professionals, we say that we should plan things, we should, things ahead, we should aggregate, do this, do that. But that it's, let's say, it's an optimal solution in the normal, let's say, situation. But when we come into crisis or into things like this pandemic, which affect all the supply chain, then you find that your old tools, what you learn through your experience journey or academic journey, or it may not work. So you should, find a way to take, as you said, the decisions that still keep the governance and keep the interest of the company, but at the same time, help things move on. And I believe also that this pandemic proved that procurement function is, very crucial for any success of any organization. And this is why I'm telling that to have this success, to push your organization ahead, you should be agile. You should be able to adapt. You should be able to, take decisions that based on the real situation. Because, as I said, even if you have plan A, plan B, plan C, it may all not, be relevant.
And we all experience that at one point or another, that being flexible and being open to decision making, and probably making decisions that are something that you may not be comfortable with, but it is good for the company in the long run. So that is where the leadership quality of a manager, a procurement manager, really speaks for itself during such difficult times.
Correct. Yeah, so
Excellent.
that's what I want to add. Yeah, thank you.
But here is also a point, here is also a point when it comes of responsibility, there is also a point of empowerment, that we need to empower our people to make the decisions, yes, to be really responsible and to get to know the area of responsibility, because sometimes it is not so easy and not so clear. So it is hard also for procurement professionals to deal with that, yes, and to have this power to take the decisions.
Yeah, you're right, actually, because more often than not, that definition of responsibility is not clear. It's not transparent. There is a lot of hodgepodge in terms of that. Someone else is taking that decision. Maybe the other department is, they feel that it is their domain and you think that it is your domain. So yes, you're right. Absolutely. You have to draw those boundaries. You have to draw those lines to make it absolutely clear and to make your job easier for you and for others as well. Mudassir and Vera, if you could also share your thoughts into the question, what do you feel is the best possible strategy at this point? We're a little pressed for time, and we also have a couple of questions, very interesting questions from our audience as well, that I would like to share with the speakers. Mudassir, if you could just share a few words.
Yeah, thank you very much. So far, I think we have discussed procurement and battling with inflation at a micro level. I want to shed some light on the macro level, because for a developing country like Pakistan, we see that there is a trade balance between import and export, and our government is struggling to lowering down the imports in order to get more exports and in order to balance the burden on our rupee against dollar. So in that particular case, it's a national responsibility of every procurement manager, especially who is working in Pakistan, that they should exploit the resources which are available locally, and they should ask their supplier to get the alternate materials available locally within Pakistan in order to lowering down the overall import bill and therefore battling inflation against it. So this was my thought, that we were discussing on a micro level, but not on the macro level. And I would like Vera to shed more light on that particular aspect, that when we are using our resources locally in order to battle inflation with procurement activities. Thank you.
Yes, and to add on that, we are as procurement also responsible, for example, for localization materials. We can find the potential local supplier and develop them. It is also will help the country and the company to fight the inflation. And also I would like to say that the era of fighting for efficiency alone has passed. Now we are collaborating through the whole supply chain, and it is our responsibility to have the common risk analysis with our suppliers, common plans, common scenario planning, sensitivity planning, and only with that we can survive and we can be competitive on the market.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Vera. And thank you to all our speakers at this point for sharing such valued feedback, for sharing such comprehensive answers. I believe that we have all learned so much from each other on this forum, on this platform. And we just have about 15 more minutes. And I'd actually like to wrap that up with a couple of questions that have been shared from our participants. Um, Shoaib actually has a question. Given the current pandemic challenge, how can procurement sell itself better to internal top management? Savings the obvious lever, but it is not working in the current situation. Mudassir, Vera, if anyone, this is open to all of the speakers. How can we sell procurement better to the internal top management? And Shoaib, if you're there, if you're online, if you could hear us, and if you could possibly share this question as well to the speakers, have I framed it correctly?
I think that
obviously. So that's the same case. The thing is, when procurement is expected to deliver the results, they need to be empowered and everything. Given the current scenario, the most obvious tool that we have to highlight our performance was saving, and that's not
Our
very
savings.
much there. So now, if we want to take the lead across the supply chain, how we can sell it to internal customer, and what new
Our top management.
what new
Metrics.
value addition we can bring in.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. That's a great question. Vera, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I think that we need to educate our internal customers and our top management. And now we are not only about saving, we are about covering risks, about covering availability issues, about covering quality risks. And I think that in current circumstances, these targets are coming to the first place. Even, of course, the price and saving, it is very, very important. But in current situation, quality, risks, it is also very, very important for procurement. And we need to educate our top management about that.
Marina, if you could, because you've been in a leadership position yourself, how do you feel that your reportees tell you that we don't have enough margins to make such savings, and this is such a difficult KPI to meet now? What sort of other metrics do you feel as a manager, as a person in leadership positions as well as you all are? What do you feel would be a better metric to pitch to the internal management, to the top management as well?
Thank you. Very good question. Top management always thinking in terms of figures, in terms of ratios, and in terms of the benefit to the business. So they have their KPIs, and they will support activities if you can influence on these KPIs, for example, profitability, EBITDA, etc. And you need to show them the path, the road, how you will go, and the final results. And of course, you should bring a success story. Of course, to change situation from reactive to proactive, it is very, very difficult. And I see another question about category management in this chat. So how to change the situation from silo to group activity to team activity. Yes, it is about the same. So you need to show the value. So you need to bring this value to the company. And in the beginning, it is very, very difficult. You need to understand how it works in terms of and in the paradigm of change management. And you need to have as more influencers, as more supporters in the company as it's possible, and work with these influencers and supporters. Of course, you need to have sponsor. I say to all my clients, to all teams, all trainings, if you don't have sponsor of category management in the company, even don't start this project. So you need to have somebody who will support you. It is obligatory, and many who works with project management know this rule. So don't start if you don't have sponsor in the company, and it is very important. And the first like step rule to have this sponsor, and then with small steps you can change this mindset and paradigm in the company. You will show your team the results, your team the fruits which you bring, and to them and to the company. And of course,
the results will speak for itself.
Yes, the results of the work of this teamwork. And of course, as more hard you work with these small quick wins, you will have more and more influences in the company, and more people who will support you and want to work with procurement. So it works only like this. It is not, it doesn't work with papers or regulation documents, etc. It is only building relationships with different stakeholders. Of course, you can use instruments, for example, like Mandela metrics, and when you build your strategy with different stakeholders and understand how you will influence on them, how you will work with them, etc., etc. And change management, understand how it works. Change management, you need to start with the need of this changing. You need to deliver the thoughts and the feeling inside the company that company need to have these changes. Only if inside the company there is some you feel, you see that the changing in category management, in procurement approaches will be acceptable in general, you can start it. So you need to sell, first of all, it to top management, to the sponsor, and to get the sponsor. And then you will go with small steps and increase your power very quickly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that comprehensive answer, Marina. Ali, quickly, if you could just also tell me, how do you feel as a person in a position of leadership would be the best way to pitch to the top management as yourself? Like, how do you change that understanding? And also the other question that Marina was kind enough to mention, what should be done to eradicate the culture of silo approach? As we mentioned earlier, we've been constantly talking about cross-collaborative efforts.
Yes.
And what should be the basis of category management? Please.
You know, it's all about speaking the other language. You know, when you want to influence the management, you should know how to speak their language. And as Mariana said, their language is only figures. And they want to see how much you can bring to the bottom line of the company. So you need to be able to translate the value to figures, because procurement not only bring savings, it's also bring added value. So you need to work on yourself on how to translate this adding value you are bringing to your company equivalent to figures that is reflected in the bottom line, because these added value, it will be for sure reflected in a way or another to the profitability of the company, but you need to show that reflection. So it's not an easy task. I spent 20 years in the UAE market working in leadership in the procurement. Always it was a very tough job to try show the management what you are doing, unless really the management are involved and they feel the value you are doing. If they are a little bit isolated, it will be a very tough exercise to do with them. Let's say same will be applicable for the silos or other departments. When you want to move into any change, or you want to do anything that it's, let's say, different than the norms or different than what's going on, you should first communicate to the other parties with their language. You should speak their language. You should sit with them, talk with them, understand their problems, their pains.
Instill confidence within them.
Yeah, and then try to let them know that you are there to help them sort out their pains. Because always I see that others, they seeing us as the problem. Other departments,
Right.
other all stakeholders, they find that procurement, it's only about regulations. So we are the problem for them. This is why many times they try to override us and do things on their own, because they find that we always push them back and make things delays. And this is why whatever goes wrong, the first victim will be the procurement guy. So this is why, because there is a lack of communication between us and the other departments. We just feel that we are right, they are wrong, and we need to, we know the rules, they have to follow, which sometimes it's not works. So you should go down to their level and listen to them, understand their needs, why they see us as, barriers, or why they see us as the source of problem. And because maybe you are doing things wrong from their point of view. So yeah, such kind of communication, it will lead to the collaboration. And only you can break silos with collaboration. And without communication with people, communicating with the people, understanding their needs, their problems, how to support them, how to help them, how to let them feel that you are there for them. Silos will exist. So this is the first things about destroying any silo and building the collaboration, is to talk, understand the other language, and share the values, and let them believe that you are there really to help them, and they need you. That without you, they really lost something, or they really missed something.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ali. Diana and Ali, if I could just request you to wrap it up. Diana, just if you could share a few thoughts. We have a few minutes left before this webinar ends. How do you feel about the questions being asked so far? If you could share your thoughts on it.
So as Mr. Ali mentioned, I think the common thing is also to define what we understand under word value. Yes, so bringing the value is one point, but remember that each department can mean differently the value. Value for the quality will be the quality probably. For production will be making sure that there won't be any stop on the production. Yes, so it is really important to communicate, to get to the common understanding, to get the common aim, why we are together, what kind of support and what kind of things we can achieve together to help our company to achieve the strategy, yes, and the vision of the company. So from my point of view, as a summary, it would be an advice to be an ambassador of the change management, yes, change ambassador, and to be really perceived in that, yes. So believe in this change. Yes, even not all of the internal clients or suppliers will believe in that. So communicate, iterate, and be open for the opinions and ideas of others, because we are not island. We are together in the as a community, and we need to build the collaboration and bridges between us to achieve a better situation for our company.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Abdusalam, if you could share some of your thoughts on this as well.
I would like to sum up in 4 words. One has already been used by Ali Saduddin, and that was agility. The other 3 are lean, sustainable, and resilience. So our supply chains, as well as the human resource or procurement, and including the human resource involved in it, needs to focus on all these four words in the true letter and spirit in order to achieve the goal of catering the inflation factor or any other challenges, future challenges. So the whole human resource involved as well as organizations needs to follow these core concepts, and that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe that we have wrapped on a very, very excellent timing. Thank you all so much for taking out such precious time for being part of this. I believe that I cannot begin to even thank you about how valued and how insightful and how detailed and comprehensive this entire and how educative this entire webinar has been. I believe the audience, the participants, and the speakers alike would agree with this. We have all had so much to learn from each other. And CostMap thanks you for your time. And we hope to see you soon. And we hope to learn from you. And we hope to see you doing excellent, bigger things. And we would want to be associated with you in all forums as well, in all ways. And thank you so much to all the speakers, to all our participants, especially to the audience who has stuck around with us for exactly 90 minutes. And I hope you all have learned so much. I know I have. And we will be talking about this soon. There will be a detailed, we will be sharing the link on YouTube for you to view and for you to catch it if you have missed it. And thank you so much. Thank you all so much
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you very
valuable
much.
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you
has
for
been
having
great.
us.
This has
Thank
been
you.
such a learning experience.
Yes,
No,
thank you.
no,
Thank
Bye
you.
it's
bye.
been
Very
such
much.
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Bye.
It has been
Bye.
such a pleasure.
It was our pleasure
Bye-bye.
being
Bye-bye.
here. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you everyone. Let's wrap up.
Thank you, Alafis. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Abdussalam. Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
Diana. Thank you, Iman. Thank you all. Thank you all.